Hey guys, what's up? Chip here. Welcome to the Chatterbot newsletter podcast radio series. I'm your host, Chip Smith from Australia. I want to welcome you today. We put apps and dApps, we set them in the blockchain using blockchain technology, and we spread out across the internet looking for chatter, and we're trying to hint or predict events that are coming in the future. So we've had a very couple of big weeks. First of all, I wanted to say to a lot of my members, we've had thousands and thousands of listeners, hundreds of emails. It's hard to keep up, guys, but I really am sorry if I can't get to all those emails because we've just been busy. We've gone viral, and there's been even a lot of there's a lot of things happening in the background. We're doing a lot of things. Only probably a handful of students know what we're doing. I really feel that it's been in the wings for a long time. It's a bit sneaky, it's a bit cheeky, but what we're doing is I think very smart, and it's a good way to do things. And as you know, crypto market, let's have a look here. We are up at 2.8 trillion market cap in crypto. And for me personally, I think that's a pretty big feat. I mean, if you go to 2.8 trillion, I mean, there's no reason why we can't go to 3 trillion. I do think, there'll be more and more money come in now with the astute things that people are bringing to the table of crypto. But not only that, we're talking about a lot of the normies, a lot of the everyday average people are coming into crypto, and you also have the authorization for these Bitcoin and I think also the Ethereum ETFs, which is, when we're talking about it, it's quite interesting because a lot of people, when they talk to me, I have, higher ups, I have people that just average investors, mum and dad type investors. They're telling me, Chip, this regulation is going to be bad. It's going to be a crash. Well, I think short-term regulation is probably going to be a negative thing, but people eventually have to realize that what's been holding back some of these big banks and institutes from crypto is that there was no regulation around blockchain, and there was no regulation around crypto. So, as you know, this isn't investing advice. I'm not a financial guru. I can't tell you what to do with your money, but I think what's been holding back these big institutes is regulation. And once the regulation starts coming in and people realize that it's going to be a lot bigger than other people think, then you're going to have not only millions of dollars pour in from the institutes, probably more like billions. So we're on the cusp of some big things. As you know, I wanted to talk about this metaverse thing today because I really think that it's going to, well, I will be sharing some really big secrets with our members, but I really think it's the precipice for, it's a recipe for some bigger things. I really think that when we're looking at the Chatterverse or our bots, they're sort of hinting that in the future that AR and VR, meaning AR augmented reality and VR virtual reality, is going to be very big in the future. I do find it interesting if we're talking about this topic. As you know, Facebook actually came out and changed their name in the last week. But if you look at their name change from Facebook, because we've been talking about this for a long time on Twitter, I really don't think Facebook are going to like what's coming. We said that. It's sort of slowly coming into fruition, isn't it? So when we're talking about Facebook, or Meta is the new name, it's quite interesting that the Hebrew word for that, meta, means death. So I am sort of hinting here that the good guys know what's coming. You get on Facebook, and we did try on Facebook. I do have one of our, one of my members, one of my employees on there. And, every time we post something about the truth, it's always pulled back, and, we were banned a few times. So I think karma is coming for these big tech companies, and Facebook are just throwing good money in after bad. So, I mean, censorship is rife. It's going to get worse, and the fake Biden administration is, coaxing them to, oh yes, yes, you have to do that. But it's all a show, guys, and I really think that, the good guys are hinting that Facebook and the name change, Meta, means death in Hebrew, is basically a hint of what is coming down the line for Facebook. I do know one of my members has actually put options on Facebook doing really badly in the future, but the judge is out on that because anything can happen. There's a lot of manipulation. Things are risky. I can't tell you what to do with your money. But I find it really interesting that, we were talking about this, and, I've already bought virtual land online. I've done very well, but, for me personally, this whole going from the offline world experience to the online world experience, and our bots predict that in the future people will be quitting their jobs and they're becoming very addictive. Sort of, we're talking about this. If you remember the 1992 movie Matrix, probably one of my favorite movies actually. People, I remember their reaction. People like, oh, whoa, this is like just everything literally changed overnight. People were excited. They were like, wow, is this real? Or are we living in a simulation? Blah, blah, blah. But for me personally, movies like The Island or The Matrix or some of these big movies are really more like a documentary more than a movie. So they're hinting on this. As you know, Hollywood have been hinting about this for a long time. And even though The Matrix came out in the early 90s, you're now starting to see, well, what they were posting about is slowly hinting about what is going to be happening in reality. So I do feel that looking at the language and the predictive linguistics that we have, that a lot of people in the future are going to become addicted to virtual reality, going to become addicted to the online virtual space, are going to be addicted to VR, like they won't be able to realize the difference between the online world experience and the offline world experience. They'll be caught in in this really weird middle ground world. It sounds strange now, but it'll be interesting to see if the bots are right again. And I know that's going to create a lot of big, huge amount of drama. It's going to create a lot of, more millionaires. It's going to probably create billionaires. I don't know. You can just see lately here in Australia that the gaming industry has just been huge. So when we're talking about that, you can see how this shifting from the, offline, online world will shift from that into the metaverse and to this experience where you're actually not experiencing the game from the outside. You're experiencing the game from the inside, being one of the characters that your people are seeing. So it's going to be interesting, and then you mix that in with, people using real credit cards and real digital money inside the computer game to buy clothes or to buy land, to buy house, to buy a business. It's all going to be happening. I know it's probably fair off into the future, but you're starting to right now, you have to admit you're starting to see the very beginning signs of it. We have been talking about it a little bit, and it really is sort of, from 2022 onwards, the bots are sort of hinting that you're going to start to see this go more mainstream. Instead of becoming a computer game player, you are the game. So this is what I'm hinting at. Like with the Matrix, we come full circle and we're saying, you're basically lying in a chair and you go inside the game. You are the game. So it's very interesting, and it's a very historical point, isn't it? Because we're not just talking about buying a coin on a virtual site. I don't know, in the future maybe there'll be people conglomerating around the world and creating their own token or their own coin, but actually doing that inside a virtual space, like in a virtual office where you'll actually see someone on the other side of the world, but you feel like you're right there with them. So it's very interesting, this whole metaverse creation and this metaverse environment and the ecosphere. And I'm guessing that there has to be, a lot more technological advancements to support such a thing. So it's going to be very interesting. And I know we're in early days. And, I remember when you could hardly buy a Bitcoin. It was very hard. And it's going to be very, very much the same. I know a lot of people are going to fall for scams. They're going to fall for, these rug pulls. We've seen coins, haven't we? We've seen coins this year that have gone from $60 down to zero. People be caught out in that. I am thankful that the coins we've been talking about have not only been doing well, but just been, I mean, it's been crazy how good they've been performing. When we're looking at the coins right now, there's over 10,000 coins sitting on the blockchain. And I have to tell you, 96 to 97% of these coins will not make it. So you have to be really selective. That's why we put in a lot of hard work. I have a lot of really good team members. I'm not a financial guru. We're just basically sharing data. And, none of this is to be taken as financial advice. We're in a very historical time, people. It's a transfer from, it's basically never been seen before, I think, in the last 1,000 years. So that's where you're at. You're living in a time, or you chose to live in a time where, things are never going to be the same. I know with the COVID drama, that's slowly dwindling. And well, we could go right into it, but I mean, eventually we're going to see people without masks, and a lot of the fake news media that are slowly disintegrating. But right now, as you listen to my voice, CNN are at the lowest rating levels they've ever seen in the history of the channel. So I've been talking about this for many years, guys, about the fake news media. I'm in contact with a lot of very higher up people, and all they're doing is giving me information that I feel is not only accurate, but I really need to. I've been allowed to give you this information because you're going to see a lot of big things happen in the news media. You're going to see a lot of big things happen in the government, and you're also going to see a lot of big things happen political. There are very big events coming. I probably, I could go on and on for 2 hours, but I just wanted to let you guys know that, it's going to be very important times. A lot of these elections that are happening right now, there's a lot of corruption going on, but blockchain is going to change all that. It's going to be very different. Banking is going to be a lot different. You're probably seeing a lot of banks in your area closing. Well, that's obviously due to the corruption, and blockchain is going to stop all that. So I expect, if you're listening to me, there's going to be a lot more banks in your area close, and there's going to be a lot of big technological improvements and blockchain infrastructure improvements. And one day you might, of course there's always going to be banks, but they're in a lot of trouble. Karma has come for the banks. They've been doing the wrong thing. They've been ripping people off. A lot of people are shitty, and I've been talking a long time about this, about how karma is going to come to the banks. There's nothing they can do. So on that note, I just wanted to tell you that that's sort of what's happening around the world right now. That's the way we see it. I don't have really too much data for me to share right now, but the reason is, we have a lot of things coming, but I'm doing a lot of data scraping in November, so we'll have a lot of more news or fresh things to tell our members in the next couple of weeks. We've been doing a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of analysis, and I think it's been, I feel like I'm getting a lot better at this as I'm probably a bit more of a nerdy person, but the analytics is getting very, very powerful. And I've got to thank you guys because, without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this. And I have a choice, don't I? I have a choice whether I want to be doing this or not, but I choose to do this. I choose to work hard. I love helping people. And, we have a lot of big plans. So right now, I would keep an eye on the gaming space. Right now, I would keep an eye on the DeFi because the bots are sort of hinting that we could have a DeFi winter. And a lot of things are going to be happening. A lot of pile-ups on the highways. A lot of people cold that probably won't be ready for being stuck on the highways for 4.5 hours to 5 hours. So if you're listening to this, you do a lot of travel, maybe, for winter, just keep a spare pair of clothes or some food in the back of your car in case you do get caught out. We have a lot of language sort of hinting in that. And to me personally, I hate seeing people get called out and not being prepared. Even when I go bushwalking or something, everyone's always says, "Oh, you like sort of